Hey, Chad, has your stuff came in yet?
Now it's all split up. The mic should be today or tonight sometime apparently. Um, and then the equipment is tomorrow, and then the new arm is next week.
Which arm did you go with?
The Rode PS1.
Yeah, that's the one I would have went with if I had a desk. I bought
Yeah,
like a actual mic stand
I
with
know.
like a
I'm
heavy
looking into it.
base.
I'm looking into a desk now with an extra like foot of space, like an extra just foot, because this desk is getting small.
I mean,
I'm
And then
about.
maybe
I'm about.
do you have open space to your left?
not really.
Is the desk up against the wall?
Yeah.
What do you have? Do you have like a webcam? What do you have?
Yes. Webcam. I'm
What
I'm
you should
sure.
look into. What you should look into is a that Elgato multi mount or whatever, and then you can have like you can either clamp to the desk or you can get like a heavy base for it to like put it on the floor or on your table, and then it's kind of like a customizable rack in a way to where you can like have your webcam come off of it, your ring light come off of it, your microphone come off of it, and all coming off of one apparatus. So it would like the footprint of it would be very small with all of
Yeah.
your shit
I mean,
stuff.
I'm eventually gonna make it a camera. I've had my eyes on a Revel for a while because I had one
Yeah,
back in the day and I enjoyed it very much. Um, so we'll see. That's down the line though. That's maybe next tax season.
right.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Um,
We're still waiting for the Trump bucks to come back.
uh,
Maybe 2024, we'll get some Trump
God,
bucks.
I hope not. I don't want him or Biden in 2024. Neither one of them. Um, did you hit the? Did you tweet out the thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Give it about 2 minutes and we'll get this party started. Well, we're almost at 2,500 downloads. We went from 2,000 to 2,500 pretty quick.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Chad, did you get into any Super Bowl squares? Oh, no.
No,
I never do squares either.
I wasn't invited into any, so I didn't even have a chance.
A guy at work
Because
did
is
it.
that
So
this weekend?
yeah, on Sunday.
Okay. Cool. So I guess I can clean out my PC this Sunday since nobody's gonna be on.
But nope, I will not be on.
Nope.
Nice.
I'm
Cleaning
not
day it
even a
is.
huge I'm not even a huge Bengals. I really like Joe Burrow, but he's no Tom Brady, but he's the second best thing.
I mean, Tom Brady's
Tom
probably gonna
Brady's
be the
gonna
best quarterback you've ever watched in your life. So let's not start comparing people to him, because then you'll never be able to watch football again after he's retiring. So you just can't watch football then if you gonna compare everybody to him.
I think I think he might end up with the 49ers actually.
I mean, yeah, there's that outside chance, but
But I hope he retires. I wanted him to retire last year on the podium myself, but
yeah.
granted, I've wanted Tom Brady to retire like every year for the last 6 years. So I'm not the best. I'm always like, I want him to go out on top, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
probably not the best one to ask, but it is what it is.
Can you believe Dallas finally got rid of Porzingis?
I know. They dealt the Chris Daps. About time.
I thought he was like a really hard contract to move.
Untradeable.
I wouldn't say untradeable
everybody-
because John
That's
Wall
what
is most
everybody
rushed-
says.
Yeah.
They're like, the contract's untradeable, but weirdly, every contract that they say that about gets traded. So
I mean, they have to fill with the rules. They gotta get to what, like 90 or 95% of the salaries to match.
yeah, the salary floor or whatever.
Well, not only that, but like in the trades, because most people are over the cap, so that means the
Right.
salaries have to match
Yeah,
by
that's
like
what
5%.
makes everything really. That makes everything really difficult.
Yeah.
All right, are we about ready?
You're starting
All right,
out with
wanna click
dialogue first, right? Before, or you start
dialogue, then music,
Okay.
dialogue, music, and then you.
All right.
I'm hitting the button. Chad, Chad, you good?
Yep.
Okay. I started to say I don't have that screen pulled up, so you're gonna have to talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. We are live for episode 47 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is Thursday, February the 10th. I'm not Ryan Fox. I'm here with some more camera technical issues. This time I just shredded the mini HDMI to HDMI cord that goes on. So I'll pick one up this weekend. I'll be ready for next week. I am here with my fire team, Jared.
Yeah. Getting ready for reading through all this stuff, man. Void Torpedo is going to be really fun to play with.
And the chronicler himself, Chad Osero.
It's definitely been an interesting week so far, and we got a lot to talk about.
And remember, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, etc. Be sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, unsubscribe, and then subscribe again. Turn on notifications, click the bell, yada, yada, yada. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Send us Bungie friend requests. Hippie brought the TWAB this week. You'll hear more about that later, though. For now, let's get the intro music from our boy Link at Link of Time G, just the letter G, on Twitter.
All right. This week of Bungie. It's been a long week of just constant content and just news coming out about Witch Queen, like ever since Tuesday. And on Tuesday we had a Vidoc launch, Light in the darkness, and it was over 13 minutes of a lot of Bungie employees going over what they're liking in Witch Queen and story wise and everything to expect, and a lot of fun stuff in there to look at. I wouldn't say it's a lot of, oh, you have to watch this for understanding the mechanics or anything like that. Going into like day one raid or like the day one of the Witch Queen, it's nothing like that. It's more just like, hey, these people are really excited about the game they've been working on and everything they've done so far.
Yeah, my favorite part of that was seeing our boy Dave Samuel on there doing his like 45 seconds and dropping all the sound effects and everything. So anytime I get to see Dave Samuel and a Vidoc from Bungie, I'm usually pretty happy.
Oh yeah, it's the sound effects are some of my favorite parts of the of the Vidocs. Every time I crack up, I look forward to them, no matter what.
One of the things I really liked was like how much dialogue you're getting from. Why did I just forget her name? From Eris a little bit, and then also from Ikora, and I think it's going to be really centered around Ikora, and then branching off a little bit with Zavala and Eris. I really enjoying this, and then like some of the cutscenes are just a higher quality than what we've seen in a long time. Don't you agree?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I
things
mean they are. Go
definitely
ahead,
looked
Chad.
crispier. They looked better. I was looking at them like, ooh, these look CGI movie like quality here. I was like, oh, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited to look at that.
Probably that Sony partnership. Am I right? Already paying dividends. No, real talk though. Probably a lot of it is that we have the new systems out now, and uh, I think that it's Destiny 2 launched 4 years ago, right?
Oh my. Um.
Was it 17?
Yeah.
Anyways, it launched several years ago,
Yeah.
and so we are. It's about time. Things are looking up. Graphics and graphic cards and consoles and everything has it's came a long way since then. Uh, have you guys kind of looked around at some of those cutscenes and noticed that some pretty key people aren't in some of the cutscenes? Are you guys reading much into that, or do you think it's like Bungie trying to pull a quick one on us in the spirit of Savathun?
Bungie is very good at leading narrative, and you're falling right into that trap, my friend. Off the rip.
I hope so. My
Yeah.
boy OC, I can't be losing OC so quick, so we need to make sure he sticks around. So, but yeah, man, it's cool. It seems that one thing I wanted to touch on in that video, there were a lot of women in that video, and it's terrible that we even have to point that out as a thing. But as a company that we all cover, it's really nice to see that it's not just all white dudes in all these videos. So I was happy to see that because anytime that you increase diversity, you get better products, in my opinion. So, and you saw that all throughout that video. So really nice to see, in my opinion.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um. Another thing about the video that I liked was this how whenever they could show the cutscene and it was so smooth, like I was thinking to myself, I was like, what if we actually get 60 frames per second cutscenes? And I was just like really hoping for that because I know everything else has been 30 for so long. You end the mission, then you top of your screen you see that 30 come through, and you're like, oh, cutscene. So hopefully we get that going. And then Sabathun's
Seems like I
ship.
see that in the Presage every time that mission
Yeah.
starts when it shows you docking your ship. That 30 is just painful to look at.
And then Sabathun's ship really reminds me of the Star Wars uh in the Clone Wars, and it was the Imperials, I think that's the name. But like basically the
I
only
don't
thing is missing in the middle is the sphere hub, but it's just like it's everything else. It's like I don't know, just see a lot of Star Wars in Sabathun ship.
know, man. I'm not a nerd, so I couldn't tell you.
You're on a gaming podcast, bro. And then Chad, I don't know if you watched through this interactive trailer they put out that I think they put out yesterday.
Oh, yes. Yes, I did. I went back through it just to make sure I didn't miss any of the points because there was one that you clicked one and then it moved on and wouldn't let you click the other one. And that was when it was showing her brother Oryx. You could either click on Oryx or Savathun. And then it would give you a little snippet. But yeah, it's good information to have going in. And it's definitely information that we're going to need. Some of it's already been touched on. Obviously, we know about the Lucent Brood. We know plenty about that. We know a little bit about Oryx. We know the mission that we're going to Mars and stuff like that. But it does give a little bit of newer pictures of other things. I'll have to go back through it because I was looking at it through work while I was at work, so I can't remember a lot of it off the top of my head. But it was definitely good information to have and touch back on.
If you was like a player that maybe hasn't played Destiny 2 since its release, or like maybe not since Destiny 1, the interactive trailer, is that something good to go catch up on? Or is that you need to do a little bit more than that?
Um, I would say besides listening to the lore segments in the Conqueror's Corner podcast,
Yeah.
um, the interactive trailer is definitely a really good start because it gives you the information on what's going to happen, or at least the what they can share of what's going to happen, and a little bit of backstory, just enough to make you want to look into it more. So it's definitely a great start for sure.
All right. Then after that, we can get into Void 3.0 that they gave us a very intensive article about everything going on with that and all the changes. This has been mentioned a while ago. I think they mentioned it first, like back in September, whenever we was getting this Void 3.0, and talking about the different verbs that go along with it. So we're going to give everybody a quick refresher of what these void verbs are. And that's basically what we're going to be doing to enemies. So the first thing is suppress. A target is taken out of its active ability when suppressed. While suppressed, the target cannot activate any abilities or movement modes. Combatants are disoriented. So this has always been pretty strong, and typically that has been on the Titan Suppressor Grenade. But now all the classes will be able to have the Suppressor Grenade.
Man, I remember playing like Trials earlier in the season when I was pretty into that for like a month and a half, and playing a team of like 3 Titans that were all running Void with their suppressor grenades, and then they could throw their bubble down on like the capture point. It was pretty annoying. And now that everybody's going to be able to suppress, I'm really curious to see how that goes over in the Crucible.
Yeah, I know whenever we was talking about this, off podcast, just us, I didn't think that they was going to give suppressor to everybody. That's something that the Titan was really going to be able to lean into. Really surprised that they did this, Chad. They took away the one thing Titans had going for them.
I mean, sharing is caring, my friend. Hunters did have the suppress a little bit, mildly with the snare, definitely with the tether, but the Titans only had it with the grenade. Like that's it. The suppressor grenade was the only thing we had that let us suppress. And then Warlocks, all you guys did is blow everything up, which I mean, I it's not suppressed, but it's dead, I guess.
We blew up and devoured. That
Yeah.
was it.
Yep.
Before.
Yeah.
So the next thing is weaken. The target takes increased damage, it has slowed movement, and is disoriented. So you think of back in Oppressive Darkness, whenever we had that as a class mod, you will be hearing more about that later. That's kind of basically what Weaken did. Also, that's kind of what Particle Deconstruction is doing right now, is debuffing the enemy where they take more damage. Then we got Volatile. The target will explode and avoid detonation upon taking additional damage. If the target dies before the Volatile has taken enough damage to detonate, the detonation happens anyway. So this was on Coded Commander Titan, right? Chad, what was...
Baby. That middle tree.
Yep.
I love it. I love it because of the grenades. That like void wall, I would literally just tag everything with void wall and kill one of them, and then just everything blows up. But the fact now that I don't have to kill an enemy that's volatile it'll just detonate on its own.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that one. And the fact that that's they're doing it like stasis, where we're all gonna have some kind of volatile and stuff like that. I'm betting because it's just an overall volatile, meaning if Ryan primes something, I can detonate it somehow. Like if I have an ability that sets off a volatile, and he has an ability that just makes stuff volatile, we can just make explosions everywhere, and I'm super excited about it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of team chemistry stuff coming up. The next thing is invisibility. A player vanishes from sight and does not appear on radar. And then as Overshield, a player gains a protective barrier that immediately stacks on top of their existing health and shields and intercepts incoming damage. Overshield reduces the damage taken from PvE combatants. Then the last one you have is Devour. A player immediately restores their health upon activating Devour from any source and is granted grenade energy. When the player gets a kill with Devour active, they are restored to full health, granted grenade energy, and their Devour buff timer is extended. So that's basically what these void abilities are going to be doing. And these void abilities really haven't been developed since 2017. They were a reaction to what was the sandbox in Destiny 1. And these goals are from Bungie is to looking to attain is to bring back these classic elemental powers in line with the challenge level and balance of today's sandbox. That's mainly what Stasis is able to build out from the addition it did, as well as to strengthen the overall fantasy that is in the heart of each element. So this 3.0 is coming to Arc and Solar later on in the year.
So two things I want to touch based on here. So on Devour, notice it says the Devour buff timer is extended. Previously with Warlocks, it was reset back to 10 seconds. So I wonder if it'll be as strong as it is currently. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, is it possible that Stasis walked so Void could run? Like we had to deal with Stasis in order to get, because this Void stuff seems pretty sweet. And did we have to have Stasis before we got to Void? Like, did we have to have the growing pains of that to get this? And if so, was it worth it?
I'm gonna say yes, because like that's how, like, every now and then you have to, like when you're farming, you have to like burn your crops down, right? And then reseed afterwards to make it all grow better and continue on. So I fully agree that Stasis had to be the height of its power. They had to put the time in to create it and then tear it down to where it's balanced in the sandbox. And I think they learned a lot of information about that interaction with the players and the stuff they built out.
And what about the Devour thing? Do you think it's just me reading too much into the language, or do you think it'll be a little weaker than it is currently?
So I don't want to jump too much ahead, but I don't see a way for, like, Warlocks used to be able to ether grenade to start Devour. I didn't see any ability say that they was able to do that.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing I was looking at as well. But really, Devour's a lot better in like lower level / mid level content. It's not really something I ever used in high level content. So
yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's a great loss.
All right, Chad. Titans are up first in Void 3.0. What do you got for us?
What do I got? My first and biggest news that all Titan bros, including Jared, who is a pseudo Titan bro, can be super happy about is that Word of Dawn will be an instacast, just like all other supers, where it just starts. You don't have to. The game doesn't have to go. Hold on, he's holding the super button. Okay, it's a bubble. Now I'm gonna bubble. No, it's just bubble. It's gonna activate just like any other super, which means no more. Oh, I forgot to hold it, or oh, I did the wrong thing. Oh no, oops.
Yep.
And then you got your guy out of commission while he's throwing shields for like 5 seconds and just trying to get rid of all his super. that's the first.
That's hitting close to home.
It is, yeah. Any Titan that's run that knows it's happened. It's always happened. Everybody, and even in clutch moments when you hope it doesn't, it happens. That's the first big news, and that was like their first thing they stated as well. Second one is that Sentinel Shield will still let Titans feel like Captain America, throwing shields, giving more range damage, stuff like that, and the Shield Bash will grant a full overshield. So if you can start your super like that, or if you're starting to get hit hard and you shield bash somebody, you're going to get an overshield. So it's going to keep you safe. So you can keep on throwing down and going to town on people. Now, they gave us the aspects in the 3.0 article. The first one's controlled demolition, which is hitting a target with a void ability or a volatile detonation will make them volatile, which is what creates that like chained volatility and explosions, which is my favorite part about Middle Tree Titan right now. First for void is just the explosions chaining to each other. Then there's Bastion, which casting a barricade generates overshield for your allies and nearby allies, and people bunkering behind the shield will regenerate their overshield over time and extend its duration. So if I put it facing towards the most enemies, we'll get cover from those enemies. But if enemies come from the sides, as long as we're still within like that little zone behind the shield, we're still gonna have overshield. And as long as they stay behind that in that zone, it's gonna continue to regenerate. So that's gonna be great. Then there's the offensive bulwark. While you have overshield or are inside the Ward of Dawn, grenades charge significantly faster, and you have increased melee damage. You also gain an additional shield throw for your Sentinel Shield super. So get an additional throw if you're going to go throwing Captain America style, or you get just more grenades and increased melee damage. So Ward of Dawn is going to be another Thunderdome. With the Helm of Saint, you're just going to be able to just throw grenades everywhere and just really, really murder things that enter your bubble, and it's going to be just a fun time for Titans for sure. I'm definitely excited about that. Insta Bubble is the first thing I'm going to do is literally just go through, get my Insta Bubble and pop it and make sure it feels like I want it to feel. Dreams are coming true, my guys.
What comes to mind, what I've been doing a lot on Titan right now is doing the bonk with Tiny Hammer, right? 1-2 punch, Tiny Hammer. So
yeah,
with that buff to melee damage, you compare it maybe with Synthoceps. Would it compete with Tiny Hammer? Maybe that's just something that come to mind. I didn't know if you had any thought on that.
No, because the thing with Tiny Hammer is that it pairs up with Roaring Flames. Mm-hmm. So with the solar kills get an increased stack of damage on solar melees or solar abilities, and that includes the bonking hammer. This is just going to increase damage to melees while in the bubble, which is good, but it's not going to be as good as stacking Roaring Flames on top of that with the Synthoceps buff. It's going to be good. It's going to be better with Synthoceps, of course, but it's not going to be that crazy.
Okay.
Plus, that has when it's falling, it hits multiple times because it's spinning. So that's what gets it. That's what gets it going. Sometimes when you can throw it at an enemy and it just like bounces off of them and then comes back.
Yeah. The thing about that Bastion, I really can think that you make that into a rally barricade. So like you're just getting that increased range and taking less flinch, but you're still getting that constant overshield. And let's just say you have a buddy Warlock standing right there, throws the rift down behind the barricade, so you're just getting double overshields at the same time.
Yeah, max reload. Mm-hmm. It'd be a fun time, yeah, for sure.
Another thing is that Titan Bubble is getting moved to the fastest tier cooldown for super. So it's right there with Well Radiance.
Yeah, because it's a non-damage dealer. It's a protection, so it makes sense.
Yeah, whenever they bring Rift back, you have a team full of Titan Bubbles and Well Radiances, it might be kind of tough to get the objective.
You just have a wall of bubbles in front of the goal. All of them Saint 14.
That'd be pretty wild.
All right, next we're gonna get into the hunters, and all hunters mainly is about staying invisible, right? That's for the most part, and sneaking up. So hunters will still be able to be all about stealth, and with even more control of what their enemies see or don't see. Mobius Quiver changes will fire a volley of 3 arrows that can track targets and make them volatile when tethered. And Deadfall will see the Void Anchors pull the enemies to the desired location from the surface and target impact. Snare Bomb Melee will also do more, will weaken opponents, and even in PvP, it will remove enemy players' HUD and obstructs their in-game view. I know there's going to be a Reddit post that first week with people aggravated about this. And then Hunter Aspects.
I can already see it. can already see that post.
All right. Hunter aspects. So there's 3 of them. We have the first one is Trapper's Ambush. Player can activate Quick Fall to spend their melee charge and dive to the ground, creating a smoke cloud upon impact. Enemies caught in the cloud are weakened and allies become invisible. In addition, snare bombs upon attaching to surfaces or enemies cause nearby allies to become invisible. So this is what you think a bottom tree tether right now, throwing your melee charge down to make yourself invisible or your teammates invisible. It pairs really well with Omnioculus and then also with Gravitation Forfeit, which you stay invisible longer. The next one is Vanishing Step. Dodging makes the hunter invisible. That's top tree hunter. Anytime you dodge, you go invisible. They did add a new, how would I say this? A new animation to whenever the hunter dodges for Vanishing Step. It looks like it covers just slightly more distance than it does now, and you can see in the
Great.
you can see in the YouTube clips they posted that it looks pretty cool. And then the final one is Stylist Executioner, defeating a void debuff target, so that's weakened, suppressed, or volatile, grants invisibility and true sight. While invisible after a Stylist Execution, your next melee attack weakens enemies. So this is a lot of chaining ability inside of PvE, and not to mention that it could stack on top of Tractor Cannon because it also debuffs enemies. So it used to be you'd have to choose between your melee making you invisible or your dodge, and now you can have both of them make you invisible. And then if you have Graviton Forfeit on while you're invisible, it recharges your melee charge really fast. And then you can kill people with Tractor Cannon. Also makes you invisible too. So you can just stay invisible the entire time with Hunter.
Seems fair.
Yep. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I think we're into the Warlocks now.
Yep.
Is that all the hunter foolishness?
The amazing.
All right. So yeah, they're gonna be pretty frustrating to deal with, I think. Especially in Crucible. So here with the Warlock, they talk about the Nova Warp Super, which lets Warlocks quickly teleport from one spot to the next, and players can choose to let loose with a deadly Void Eruption. With the Vortex Super Enhancement, a player's Nova Bomb will now draw enemies into the singularity it creates, damaging them once inside. So it kind of seems like a big gravity ball, almost, kind of, and then sucks everything in and then does damage. So that could be pretty nifty. I was kind of thinking of like some of like the more open spaces that you go into, like if you're in like a wide battlefield and you have that super and you cast it in the middle, it could pull everything together close to where maybe you could recover if you needed to. So not only is it going to do damage to those enemies, but if you got a Titan Bro with you, maybe they could throw up a barricade on one side, and then you could kind of get yourself a little bit of cover with that gravity coming from that Nova Bomb. So casting a Nova Bomb with a Cataclysm enhancement will cause it to travel across the battlefield and seek out enemies. Detonations will shatter into smaller seeker projectiles, and shooting the Nova Bomb will cause it to detonate early. So that kind of sounds like what we already have with that Nova Bomb. So really, it kind of seemed like they differentiated between the two Nova Bombs, because as the way it sits now, you're pretty, as far as supers go, there's not much difference between, like, one is clearly better than the other super-wise, the one that tracks and breaks up. So adding that gravity thing in there, I think, is a way to differentiate between the two. This is the part that I found the most interesting. The Warlock's melee, Pocket Singularity, fires an unstable ball of void energy that detonates when it nears enemies, pushing them away from the blast and making them volatile. So first of all, it doesn't seem like you have to actually hit that. It's like uh, as long as you're close, it's still going to detonate, so you don't have to hit them directly. And according to Destiny designer Mike Humboldt, he expects this melee will find particular use in the Crucible. Quote, we do a lot of PvP testing, and knocking someone who is trying to shotgun rush you off the map with pocket singularity is always a good time. And to me, that also sounds like a good time. So, kinda like a panic button in a way. You would think in like a PvE state of mind. It also sounds similar to the Halo Infinite ability. That's what I was telling the guys here about before we went live. Like, hey, does that kind of sound like that Halo Infinite thing you pick up, and if somebody throws a grenade at you, you can like blow it away or blow somebody off the map or something like that. So, as with Titans and Hunters, Warlocks will have 3 aspects to wield in Void 3.0. The first is Chaos Accelerant. Hold down the grenade button to overcharge your Vortex, Axion Bolt, Scatter, and Magnetic Grenades. Magnetic Grenades overcharge into Handheld Supernova. The next one is Feed the Void. Defeat an enemy with a Void ability to activate Devour. So that seems pretty good. And last but not least, this is the one they kind of touched on in the Vidoc, I believe. Child of the Old Gods. Cast your Rift to summon a Void Soul. When you damage an enemy with your weapon, your Void Soul will launch itself towards them and detonate nearby, attaching draining tendrils which deal damage and weaken the target. When your Void Soul deals damage, it restores either melee and grenade energy if running Healing Rift, or health if you're running Empowering Rift, back to you. Defeating an enemy who is being drained grants Rift energy. So that seems a little overpowered. So it's definitely something I'm going to be taking a look at, especially with some of the one of the exotics we'll touch base on a little later. I'm curious to see how they synergize together, but I promise you I will find out as soon as possible once this content drops, and I will report back. So designer Samuel Dunn calls the Child of the Old Gods aspect a passion project for him, something the team worked on for quite a while to get it right. Quote, I'm a warlock made at heart, and I really love summoning little friends like Arc Soul and Bleak Watcher to do my bidding. So I wanted to make sure that Void Soul felt like a black hole, but with a little personality to it too. So, yeah, that seemed. I'm really looking forward to that because that just seems fun. You know, a lot of times with Destiny, people get in the mindset of like, I have to always use what is best, what is the meta. This is what I have to use. But it's a lot more fun to use, like, in my opinion, the Ballerina Titan. Like, I love that thing. It's not meta at all, but it's one of my favorite subclasses to play. So sometimes, you know, just because it's not great in the top 5% of content doesn't mean it's not fun to play. So hopefully, it kind of seems like that Child of the Old Gods, which is probably going to come in a little hot if I had to guess. So you might want to check that out early if you're on that Warlock.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how they let this void ride out, because it's definitely gonna be hot. And some of these fragments we're getting is gonna play right along with it.
So one thing, Jared, I want to mention before we get real into this, didn't they mention if you play the game prior to the Witch Queen, then you get access to all these starting out like day one? You don't have to run like 6-hour quests to unlock all these things, correct?
Yes, there's a special section for new light players, but yeah, if you are already playing the game beforehand, yeah, you're getting all this really
in theory,
soon in Witch Queen.
yeah, and that's awesome, because if you remember with Beyond Light, you had to finish the campaign, do all this extra stuff, and then you can only unlock like 2 a week. And you know, so I think this is a much better system in my opinion.
All right, we're going to get into a few of these fragments they put out here for us to look at. And the first one is Echo of Expulsion. Void ability kills cause enemies to explode. Intellect bonus. Echo Provision. Damaging enemies with grenades grants melee energy. Strength penalty. That is basically what was on bottom tree tether for hunters. Echo of Domineering. After suppressing a target, gain greatly increased mobility for a short time, and your equipped weapon is reloaded from reserves. Discipline bonus. Oh, that's going to pair really well with this next one with Echo of Undermining. Void grenades weaken enemies. Discipline penalty. So that is kind of what Oppressive Darkness was. All this stuff has a lot of synergy, and that little Warlock build that you talked about, Fox, is going to be amazing with some of these fragments. I imagine.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
I imagine the Child of the Old Gods will only have one fragment slot, if any, because how strong that's going to be. So, they'll give everybody oppressive darkness on your grenade, and then the ability to get your grenade back with other interactions in the game. So this is everybody's gonna be throwing out lots and lots of void in PvE, and if you got your build locked up, that's probably going to be the play. Day one raid is a lot of void, and then maybe a well.
Yep, a well or two, and then a lot of void. That's kind of what I'm expecting. It really depends on how much the raid separates. Like if you have to do like 2 teams of 3 or 3 teams of 2, or if people are kind of solo.
Yeah.
Because as long as you have I would say you want at least 2 Titans and probably 2 Warlocks, and that should cover anything. Maybe 3, maybe one hunter, and then. But I don't know. We'll see. We're kind of still trying to figure out what we're gonna have to go with. So
Fox, you did mention the new lights, so they did get a little shout out here. And so whenever they go to do the new light campaign during the Schism mission, players will acquire a new quest from Learning Light that teaches them more about their subclass abilities. More aspects and fragments can be unlocked by them visiting Ikora Ray in the tower. So I guess Ikora is still going to be in the tower from that line. From some of the stuff in the Vidoc, I kind of thought she was going to be somewhere else, but doesn't mean she can't be 2 places at once, because Xur's 2 places at once.
Crow,
yeah. So it happens. I mean, technically Shax is not. I mean, Saint's 2 places at once. He's at the lighthouse and in the tower. So, and then they have preset.
Yeah, people get too tore up over that stuff, man.
Yeah,
it's just a game.
It's true.
You know what I mean? I wish they were in orbit. I'd be happy with that too.
They could fast travel just as fast as we can. Okay.
Yeah. Space magic. That's how you describe it or explain it.
With these, when people go to pick Hunter, Titan, and Warlock as a new light player, they will automatically be selected onto Void as of right now, and they got some preset abilities for them. So Hunters, mainly they're putting Marksman Dodge and then Triple Jump on them. Titan, they're putting Catapult Lift and then Towering Barricade, and then Warlock is Healing Rift and Burst Glide. So those kind of like the main abilities and like the main class ability that most people run on those characters. They do some other stuff in there, but we won't bore you with that. But basically, they're making it the most user-friendly build starting out on those characters and introducing people how to use Void. Okay, so now it's time to talk about the Legendary campaign. And this is something that we are very excited for and going to be jumping into very quickly when Witch Queen launches. So as longtime Destiny players, we were always asking for challenges in Destiny, and Bungie has created a whole new experience for us in the Legendary campaign in Witch Queen. Your time will be rewarded for completing the missions. Double chest rewards offering 1 to 3 extra chests per mission. Each chest will give you World Poor Gear, XP, upgrade modules, and Glimmer. Legendary players will also earn Throne World armor and unlocks at a faster rate. I'm not sure exactly what that means because we don't have exactly how it's going to work, but I guess it's going to be some kind of linear system for us to get armor pieces from the Throne World in some way. Last time I remember like unlocking per armor piece. I know we did it in Beyond Light when we had like go to random places and then unlock the area with, I forget what it was called, because like really that week we did all that was kind of a blur in my mind because we just mindlessly went through it all
3 times.
But basically just you went through the map, unlocked new areas because you learned a new stasis ability. What it got down to. So I guess you're going to get these armor pieces just a little bit faster going through Legend. There's also going to be unique.
I remember something with Shadowkeep to where you had to have certain armor pieces to unlock the last mission, right?
Yeah, that was for those nightmares. You had to get so many Dreambane pieces on. Yep. Yeah, I think the last mission you had to have 5 pieces of Dreambane, and then once you loaded in, you put your exotic back on or something like that.
Right.
After you got into the mission. There's also going to be unique rewards from completing the legendary story. The first one is going to be a new emblem that's exclusive to those who complete the campaign on legendary. Then also a triumph that is required for the newest title for the Throne World. A set of gear that is 20 above the soft cap. That is a 1520 power level for all 5 armor pieces and 3 weapons. 8 upgrade modules, new Witch Queen exotic armor that is typically reserved for the Lost Sector drops, and then exclusive bungee rewards. That's usually something you unlock on the store that you can buy if you want to. Now, the thing I said there about a set of gear getting 20 above the soft cap at 1520 power level is very lucrative. Wouldn't you say, though?
It's huge. It's gigantic. It's humongous. That is excellent. That will save everybody like a solid day's worth of just grinding lost sectors and stuff, so you don't accidentally get powerful engrams, and like it's great. It's wonderful. It's gonna cut time for everybody. And all those people, it'll make all those people, even though like we said last time where they pushed the raid to 2 weeks, like 2 Saturdays out from the initial day, it's going to give even more people a chance to get up there where they're comfortable, where they're like, I'm not too low, I think I can get in there. And that's great. More people playing is a win for everybody. It's going to be a fun time. There's going to be lots of 1520s come like a couple of however long the campaign takes. It's going to be a lot of that, and I'm excited. I'm really excited because that means I'll be able to grind up some homies. We'll be able to have some backups for raid day.
Yeah.
And that's just all positive to me. Extra drops, extra loot, guaranteed 1520s. Wonderful.
Yeah, Fox. Typically, it's always been like just rush through the campaign as fast as possible, then go play comp to level up. And it's kind of flipped the whole routine on its head, right? So, like,
yeah, it definitely has, because it kind of makes me nervous. So, one of my favorite things about Destiny is that there's nothing about Destiny that is surprising. Like, it's exactly what I expect it to be every time. But they're kind of getting away from that, which probably is a good thing, but it gives me a little bit of anxiety if we're being honest, because it's kind of like having to relearn a whole bunch of stuff. So it seems like they're trying to move away from some things, and I think that they're wanting to shine a spotlight on this campaign, which gives me hope, because it sounds like they're proud of it and they want people to kind of take up for more than what we typically do with a Destiny campaign. So doing this, it's going to keep us in that campaign longer. I know you kind of we haven't really touched on it, but what the difficulty seems like it's going to be, which is in between like a master and a grandmaster nightfall, and at like hard cap shoot, like a contest mode a little bit. So it seems like I imagine that the 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 more difficult version of the campaign is more what they actually want the campaign to be like. So I think it'll be a very good experience, and I'm very much looking forward to it because I would much rather have something that we struggle with, and it's more of a um, celebration whenever we beat something, as opposed to like, oh God, I'm so glad that's done. Like I was with the last couple, if we're being honest. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a great change, but I do have some anxiety about some of the things, just because it seems like a lot of the excuse me, the base Destiny systems are changing. So, and it'll take us all a little while to figure out and adjust to that.
I think there's another part that I forgot about until Ryan started talking. And it's the fact that, like, when he said they were proud of their campaign, and they are, part of the vidoc that I remember is that they talked about the campaign having dungeon mechanics in it. So you're going to get really deep into deep sight. You're going to learn a lot about that. They leaned very heavily on Savathun is the trickster god. So you will have puzzles to figure out. And for me personally, like, out of this squad, I love that. I love the puzzles. I love figuring stuff out. I got Ryan behind me shooting stuff to keep me safe, and I got Jared to be a second set of eyes looking around at stuff. And then Ryan will make the random comment where both of us are like, "Oh, I didn't see that." Um, and I'm very excited because new dungeon day is one of my favorite days for this squad. It's going in blind and just having a blast, and it feels like this campaign is going to be like that also. So I'm very excited.
Yes, this campaign is going to be challenging. So I'm going to summarize a few of the things that they've kind of said about it. Fox touched on the difficulty. They did say it's going to be between a Legend Nightfall and then, like, not quite as hard as soloing a dungeon or a Grandmaster. So we've talked about Grandmasters many times on this podcast. This is something that the three of us, most part, can get through Grandmaster first try of the season. Even if they change the timing mechanic here or there, there's still those couple tough ones, proving grounds, and every now and then you can get caught in the wrong spot and wipe. So me and Chad have both solo dungeons. Fox is like hasn't really given the time and effort to go solo, even though he probably has the ability to, but just like not something high up his list. So us playing together, even us solo, I think we will be able to get through this Legend campaign based on the gear that we have, the weapons that we already have, right? So if this is your first time coming into Destiny or haven't been playing in a while, unless you're playing with somebody that might know what they're doing, you might want to hold off on this Legendary campaign until you just get your feet wet a little bit before you're like, all right, I'm just going to jump into the hardest thing that they want you to play through starting out. And then also when you're in here, the enemies are going to be more aggressive and a little bit more difficult. So like, whenever I think of that, it's like you fight like just a random drag on the EDC. They're not really lighting you up. They do like 4 or 5 warning shots before they actually hit you once. But if you go play Gambit, that drag hits you on its first shot or its second shot pretty regularly and pretty easily. So I think that's the way that like the AI is going to change. And then you're not going to be able to over level the missions. Each mission caps you at a power so that all Guardians are on an even playing field to avoid feeling like every step is a grind. The launch screen will have a skull displaying each mission's max effective power, enemy damage, and health scales to match your fire team. It's not a true 1-to-1 ratio, but it's going to be Just a little bit more difficult. So like, just to say all three of us together, the enemy's not going to do 3 times the damage and have 3 times the health, but it's definitely we're going to feel being in a fire team together. And then darkness encounters will have 1 revive for each fire team member, and a wipe timer will be at 40 seconds if a guardian is not revived in enough time. And if you find that mission too hard, you can always choose the normal mission and just progress the story and then come back to it at a later time when you're ready to give it a try. So that's it to the Legendary campaign. Did I leave anything out that you all want to bring up?
No, other than I'm really looking forward to it. That's about it.
Same as Ryan. I agree with Ryan this time.
Yes, finally. 47 episodes.
All right, this next thing is Bungie's starting up this new little initiative called Heroes Welcome. And it's one more way that they are celebrating the majesty that is all of you gun-towing fashionists out there through a new series, which is Heroes Welcome, and a new ongoing video adventure that will focus on players themselves and a variety of explosive tribute as seen in style of our kickoff video below. So there's a video you can go click on. A little cheesy for me, but I think they're probably going to show the spotlight on some pretty cool stuff that's happening inside the community. And this first one is to Amaze. This dude is pretty talented. I don't know if you all have seen him play or anything on Twitch.
Oh, for sure.
My gosh, like I can barely like talk and game at the same time with call outs, right? Like we'll play in PvP and we'll play in like trials, like somebody's down over, like we try to give a good call out. This dude's just rapping the entire time he's playing PvP. Like I mean, chewing gum and gaming can be a challenge sometimes for me compared to what he does.
I really like his content. It does seem there's been. It seems like every time I'll get on Twitter in the morning, like whenever I'm trying to get motivation to get my big butt out of bed, but I will see like rap and Destiny number 48. So it seems like he's really putting out a lot of them, which you have to respect. Have to respect the grind, man. If he's kind of found his niche and has fit into it, and it's pretty cool. I've always been kind of into like rap battles and freestyle and King of the Dot, and those the Canadian rap battles always seem to be the best, which is kind of weird, but that's one of the things I've always enjoyed, and it's kind of cool seeing it in Destiny, even though I have to admit it is a little shocking. Not shocking, it's not like it's vulgar, just it's kind of awkward at first, but like I got really into it and watched a bunch of them one morning.
All right.
I've never seen any of it, so
Yeah.
I'm now, after here listening to these guys, I'm gonna have to look them up.
Yeah.
I have to.
Talented dude. All right. The next thing we got is they're just showing us all 6 exotic armor pieces that we're getting in Witch Queen. So I'm kind of surprised they did this. I thought they was going to try to keep them, like a couple of them under wraps until like the day of or something. But first up is the Titan, and man, Shadow, this helmet, dude, what is going on?
Yep. People were definitely really excited about it. The first thing I heard is, I hope this isn't an ornament for God, what's that helmet, the one that looks like the blue one?
Eternal Warrior.
Yeah.
Skull for it?
Eternal Warrior.
Yeah.
That's the one. And I was like, I agree. I hope it's not. But it's called Lorelei Splendor Helm. And what it does is has cauterizing flame, which allows sunspots to heal players when they have Sun Warrior. So besides getting an extreme boost to your grenades and your melee ability recharge while you're standing in a sunspot, you're also gonna get healed. I already love sunspots, and for PvP, That's gonna it's just gonna help you out. You're gonna start a sunspot, stand in it, or go kill a dude and then go into that sunspot and then just start healing immediately. It's gonna make engagements, pushing into engagements more rewarding. Because as long as you can kill one dude, it'll give you a safe zone. It'll give you depending on the recharge rate, it'll give you a mini well that also recharges your grenade and your melee ability. It's gonna be a fun time. I'm excited. It's gonna be a solid time. And the playtest name for it was the Stag Spot Helm. Like I said, it just drops a healing sunspot rift thing, and it's gonna be great. I'm excited. The next thing they had was Hoarfrost Z, and what that does is it was shown in the trailer where it gives you, instead of giving you a barricade, it gives you an ice barricade with a little window for you to peek through. That gives you the rally ability as the Titan that cast it. So you'll have a wall of ice with a window for you to just start shooting stuff through with the rally barricade effect. So you'll be able to reload your weapons and just sit there and just plink away at stuff, but it'll create crystals. And that's the point, is another way to make crystals. So it'll let you kind of lock down a zone if you already used a glacier nade, or it'll let you use different grenades, but create a wall like glacier anyway. So there's definitely a lot of utility in that. There's lots of things that other people have thought of that I definitely haven't, because I don't use the gosh, what is it?
Whisper
The
of Light.
ice. No. Well,
Oh.
I think I use that one, but I don't use the Ice Titan as much as the
Oh,
other ones.
okay.
So I don't have a lot of playtime on him to really mess around. So there's a lot more people that have better ideas than I do, because I just don't have the hours put in. But I'm definitely excited about both of those. Definitely more excited about one than the other.
Yeah.
The Stag Spot helmet is going to be a lot of fun when the solar rework happens. Because then you'll get sunspots on a bunch of different kinds of supers.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting. It'll be a fun change for sure. It definitely gives more options for helmets. And one of my favorite things about exotics is a helmet or an exotic that gives you a, not like, even if it's a passive, but a passively active ability where you don't need, it's not a super only, or it's not a grenade only or a gun only. It's like you kill something with solar, boom, there's a sunspot, there you go. You got your thing, whether you're in a super or you're just doing something else. And I'm excited. I'm happy about that. I'm going for that helmet, and I'm just gonna just burn everything alive as fast as I can.
I think that's probably going to be the closest we ever get to a Ghost Rider cosplay inside of Destiny 2. So, all you Destiny fans out
I never
there,
thought about that, but you're probably right.
I foxed her up with these Warlock exotics.
All right, so let's talk about dim legs, because Warlock mains have definitely been shouting out their love for the new Secret Filaments armor. With the Devouring Rift perk, these shiny walking sticks of power will grant a player Devour when they cast their Empowering Rift, allowing for damage from both allies and individual players, the ability to disrupt foes, but in style. And eventually we settled on what we call the Devouring Rift Pants. Overlord was added to increase excitement and expand the options players had to build for various champion-enabled content. So, I think that Master Plus content, maybe that's some verbiage that we should borrow and start to use our own, because we always say like the hardest content or the top 10% content, but maybe Master Plus, maybe that's maybe that's something we should try to use more frequently, because it kind of makes sense that way.
Yeah.
And next up are the Osmiomancy gauntlets for warlocks with the fervid cold snap perk. This nifty look allows for cold snap grenades to have an additional charge that will recharge faster when it makes direct impact. The seeker spawned from cold snap grenades also travels further too. Bonus. So it seems like they found a bug while they were playtesting these, to where if you threw the grenade at the combatant's feet, it would spawn a ground follower that traveled through and behind the enemy, and then turn around and come back directly toward the warlock by the time the visual effects applied. So it looked like the cold snaps were avoiding hitting targets and speeding directly away. But it says that thankfully that shouldn't be an issue at launch. So next up here is the hunters, which I'm sure Jared will be more than happy to tell you about. But before he gets going, those boots, the devouring rift pants, those were the ones we were talking about. We were kind of hinting at earlier whenever we were discussing the Void 3.0 changes.
Yep, that's a child of the old gods aspect paired with those is going to be amazing, I think. All right, so we talked about 4 really good exotics so far, and I would say that the Warlock and the Titan both got at least A tier exotics, if not an S tier exotic in the Warlock. And the Hunter just got 2 exotics that is probably going to collect dust for a while in the vault. So the first one for the Hunter is a helmet, and it is called... Oh, why did I miss it? Okay. It's a dust field modifier. Never mind. No, I'm reading the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Get a helmet, and it's buffing the Dancy Pole Boys and Arcstrider. And this is going to be the Blight Ranger helm. We wanted to make something that Arcstrider that lead into an aspect of the super that doesn't normally get focus. There are players that love wielding other people's attacks, creatures, and game pieces, etc. against them. This is for those people. And what this does is for military Arcstrider, how you can twirl and reflect incoming damage or projectiles back to where they're coming from. And you're going to be able to reflect it back with increased damage, and you're also going to generate orbs of power for your allies. So this is, to me, this is like 75% of what Ursa Furiosa does. How Ursa can get your super back, but this is just going to reflect the projectiles or incoming damage and not give your super back. So I really don't see much use with this unless it's like for one unique encounter where like you're getting so much damage shot at you that like a well wouldn't survive or a bubble wouldn't survive. So you need to have somebody either doing this twirly ability or Ursa Furiosa. I feel like that's the only 2 ways that this is going to get use.
Could you imagine tank room in the GM? Because it reflects it back with more damage, right?
So you're talking about 1 7 minutes?
No, I know. I'm saying it's only one spot, but like that'd be great. I just want to do that once.
I was thinking Morgath in The Last Wish. Whenever he shoots all those missiles at you or whatever. Yeah, okay. The orbs. Whenever you're doing damage, maybe you could reflect those back and do some wicked damage.
Yeah, so there might be some unique encounters to where this might be viable.
Yeah, that's like 2 places in the entire game, right? So,
and here is the last exotic here, and it's called Renewal Grasp, and this is going to give a little buff to dust fields. This gives Guardians a much longer radius for the dust field grenades. Also be nerfing incoming damage for all allies within the dust field range. Any targets locked within that space will also deal out reduced damage. So they want us to go out there and use it on the hive. So Stasis Hunters now have a short mini Silence and Squall that they can deploy with a grenade. This gives Revenants the ability to have a more team-focused role or play into your area or area control or denial game that they have never been able to do before. I only see small case uses for this maybe in PvP. I don't see myself running this in PvE because if I'm running Revenant, might as well just be running Aeons and making heavy ammo for everyone, because that's what I found like most effective with that class. And then this I guess the best thing about this exotic might be the lore piece, Chad, because that arm piece,
Yeah.
what's it have on it?
It's got Black Armory, baby, and Bray Tech.
Yep.
So we know that the Brays want to wield stasis. One of them already does. And the Black Armory is a master weaponsmith. So I was going to point it out if you didn't. So I'm excited for you to get them or me to get them so I can look at them.
Yeah, I'm not going to be prioritizing getting these exotics to start at Witch Queen. I do want the Blight Ranger helm going into the raid just in case of that one possibility that could be in use, but
Yeah,
it's all right.
I'll probably just read the light GG entry once it gets updated.
Yeah. I wonder how long that API is going to be down for on the 22nd. Do you think it's back up by the 23rd?
You know how
I sure hope so, because then we won't be able to use DIM.
I know.
Yeah. You know how they've been talking to them a lot, and like they give them that unique emblem, and they hurry up and made a switch because something in DIM like took out an item and deleted it or something. I think they might be giving these people a little bit of insight into what to build their third party apps with to be ready.
Yeah, I think that, or maybe, and this might be like very weird, but maybe they are going to be maybe not employees of Bungie, but maybe like preferred, like contracted or like a preferred something or other.
Mm-hmm.
And because we know that Bungie had a lot of content creators in like in the past week or the week and a half to show them like the first mission and like the crafting and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if like your dims and your what are the ones on the phone, like Little Light is one, and what's the other? Ishtar. Like if those guys, maybe they're not brought in to be some of that because, I'll be honest with you, I use Dim a lot more than I watch anybody on YouTube.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll be something that they're kind of worked in to be more of an official capacity, or like like maybe one of them become the preferred way to do weapons or something. I don't know. Just kind of spitballing. But it does seem like they've given them a lot more shout out in the last like 3 to 4 months than the prior 7 years.
So I know that like the Xboxes have the fast app switching. Like what would it be?
The quick resume.
Yeah,
I believe is what you're talking about.
Like Bungie's partnered with Sony now, so like what's it to Sony to like partner with Dim to make a fast swap for PlayStation users to swap over with Dim to move stuff around, then come back to Destiny very easily.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe like even like Discord, maybe Discord teams up because Sony owns a part of Discord.
Oh yeah.
So maybe that could be something that's worked in as well. So we just need to get Discord on all these consoles so I don't have to join Xbox Live parties to chat with people that are still on Xbox. So we need to get that figured out first and foremost.
They need to fix their headsets too. Sound like they're not in a fist tank anymore. All right. Here's a last reminder that downtime before Witch Queen is going to start February 21st at 10 p.m. Eastern, and it's going to finish up the 22nd at noon. 14 hours of downtime. So, Monday night, 10 o'clock Eastern, servers are going down. Make sure you get all your bounties stacked up before then.
I've already got all my bounties done. I'm so proud of myself. I'll probably take a look next week to see if there's any weeklies I missed, but I'm pretty sure I've got most of them. Some of them I don't have from Hawthorne that are like complete 10 gambit matches with people in your clan and stuff like that, but I'm not that worried. I know whenever last time I checked, I'm up over like season pass 21 or something whenever I cash everything in, so I'm more than happy with that.
All right. No weapons breakdown because we were just ready for these Witch Queen weapons to drop and to start looking into those. Gambling Corner, have you all finished entering or turning in all your gunsmith materials?
I'll be
Been
real
done.
honest with you. I've got Chad's been done. I've been the slacker, but
Okay.
I've got like 5,000 more to turn in. So I will get that done, and then next week we will hash this out, and we'll be able to finish off the season and get all that done. Because next week, are you guys still looking for a couple Iron Banner bounties next week, or what's your are you kind
No,
of just not worried about it anymore?
I am not caring about Iron Banner bounties. Like oof. No.
Because I have like one of my characters has 7 and the other 2 have 5.
Yeah.
So in theory, I could get 2 more for 2 characters, but I'm sure they're going to be like the crappiest ones to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more concerned about snatching because we know we have Lake of Shadows coming next week, and it also corresponds with the hung jury as well as the hothead. So I might try to snatch a couple of those up, and and maybe try to get just a little bit better of a rocket launcher and a good roll on that Scott rifle. Just I don't need a good roll on the Scott rifle, but it's I just love that gun a lot in Destiny 1, so I don't have a great roll of it in Destiny 2. So I think I'm going to be more towards the Nightfall side of things as opposed to the Iron Banner side of things next week. But I'll probably keep it a little light and really get some family time in. That way I don't feel as much of a piece of crap whenever I just ignore them the following week whenever the expansion drops.
Oh yeah, it's Super Bowl this weekend and then Valentine's Day the day after on that Monday. And this is off topic from Bungie, but did you see what Call of Duty's doing? They're dropping their new season on Valentine's Day. They're just wanting their players to just like completely forget about those certificate.
Well, no. Here's the thing. They know their audience. None of them have significant others.
You're right, Chad. You're right. You're right. All right, get that quality time in before the big grind starts on February 22nd. And Chad, it's time to look ahead, right? To the dark future.
It's time. Dark future, baby. We've already we've gotten a lot of teasers on stuff going on into next season, the expansion coming on the 22nd. But what we do know is that Savathun is a trickster god. So we also know that Bungie likes to role play a little bit. So knowing that Savathun's coming up, a lot of the media that we've been seeing could be very, 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 very heavily altered in a way that it looks a specific way, so that we're like, oh my goodness, I didn't expect that. Come the end of the campaign, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm expecting some kind of trickiness, but The Dark Future is a book that came out in Beyond Light. It is a book written in the perspective of Elsie Bray, or the Stranger, as some people know Elsie Bray as I know her because she's a good friend of mine. And it starts off with her just in her tent on chapter 1. She's in her tent trying to sleep, but she's in exo, so she doesn't really need to, but she's just relaxing, and she hears some sounds. She thinks maybe it's a rat just scrounging for food. Good luck. I don't need food, so maybe you'll find something. And then she hears it, and It's louder. So she's like, maybe that's somebody there. So she hears somebody. She senses them at the end of her cot. She swings her blanket over, grabs a weapon from the floor, rolls across the room, blasts stasis at the assailant, and they dodge. But the bed's frozen, and fires off a couple rounds that graze the shoulder. And all of a sudden, she hears Elsie, wait. And she says, no one calls me that except her. So the attacker moves a hood, and it's Anna. And she says, what were you thinking, Anna? Why did you attack me? You attacked me. And I mean, it's fair, she did, but she says you're wounded, and Anna's just saying it's fine, and you're not fine. Where's that annoying gnat? Why isn't it fixing you? I said it's nothing. Something's up. So I stare at her until she offers an explanation. She's gone, Anna admits. Let's leave it at that. So her ghost is dead. She doesn't have a ghost. She is just a person now. But Elsie's not surprised. She isn't surprised whatsoever that Anna's ghost is gone. She asked her what's going on, why she's there, and Anna asks her, she says, I need you to teach me. Show me how to use stasis like you. You really understand how to control it. You're not corrupted like them. We've been over this. My answer remains no. Anna is smart, but too easily led astray. It's a miracle she ended up how she did. I can't get involved. Every day I make it by the skin of my teeth, without the light, without the traveler. I'm a sitting dreg just waiting to be picked off. And then Anna says, you're going to leave? Fine. I'll find someone else to help me learn stasis so I can take down Savathun. You know what she did, Anna. Stasis won't save you. This is a suicide mission. There are others out there who are tired of living in fear too. We can find them. Good, go talk to them instead. Listen to me. We can attack with the light and darkness together. Or we can keep our heads low and move on. There's nowhere else to go. You want to run away, that's your choice, but I'm telling you we can do this, she says, and holds up a satchel, pulling a drive from it. We just need a little help. You have him? What's left of him? So they put together that in that drive is the Warmind Rasputin. Whatever she saved from the initial attack that the darkness did to him. So she's trying to find a way to give him a body. And she says, only trouble is he's stuck on this drive. He could use a new vessel. Anna smiles, knowing that she just baited her pretty good. And she says, lead the way. Stay ready. We don't know what's in there, I say to Anna, standing in front of the entrance to the deep stone crypt. They make their way through the lab. Aramis's siege makes sure that left a mark on it. She found darkness there and helped spread it as a plague on the world. Clovis almost did the same thing. But they're making their way through, and they're finding multiple things, traces of stuff, more memories of Clovis that they have. And Anna says, Clovis was an animal, sure, but what he discovered and built is absolutely incredible. Never heard her speak so highly of the old man. She forgets that I was there, doesn't realize the hand he played in our future even centuries ago. This way, she calls out, running ahead, and practically just admitting that she'd already been there before. Finally, they find it, the place where the Exos were born. Anna covers her nose as they're greeted with a rotten smell. Slowly, they turn the corner and see a decomposing corpse desperately clinging to the lever on a console. The Drifter, Anna says. Hard to tell how long he's been there. We pry his hand from the console and carry him out of the room to try and purge the stench. What do you think he was doing here? I ask. Most likely the same thing we are, Anna says, plugging in her drive, but he failed. Probably for the best. He doesn't deserve another chance. So much to Ryan's pleasure, the Drifter in this timeline died. Very gruesomely, apparently,
all right.
while trying to turn himself into an exo. So they proceed and get started on the download into an exo body. They start the upload first, make sure the drive is empty and good to go. They got a pool filling with radiolarian, and everything's going well. The pool begins to bubble. Anna jumps to her feet as a sleek metal hand emerges from the fluid. Slowly, the exo rises. Silky liquid drops from the tendrils that conjoin the parts. Eventually, it takes its first steps out of the pool. Red? Anna asks timidly. Its head turns, glowing eyes of scarlet meet ours, and it speaks. Russian. Welcome back, old friend, Anna says. We're in business. Now they make their way out of there and they gotta find someone else. So they head to the last city, and Elsie says the last city looks worse than I remembered. Buildings leveled and edifices stripped of their vibrancy, pollute that was once the last vestige of hope humankind had. The commerce, the children, the bustling life, all gone. Difficult to think about that day, the bombardment. We were hit on all sides. Aramis, the Cabal, Savathun, all attacking our stronghold at once. We never recovered. When the Dark Guardians turned on Aramis and the Cabal, everyone who wasn't killed went into hiding. Rasputin says something in Russian that she misses, and Anna laughs. Um, Elsie asks her about the Vanguard, says, you were close to them, right? And she says, I don't think we were close, but they trusted me. Um, and they talk a little bit, and Anna tries very hard to get more information about the past from her, more information about her family, and she just isn't budging. And she tells her to drop it. From behind them, she hears the rattling of a rifle, and they look at each other and say, we don't want any trouble. And the rifleman says, you came to the wrong place. Anna looks over and says, Zavala? She turns to get a look, but before them stands the once proud commander of the Vanguard. Disheveled in rags, his ghastly white beard is thick as a steel door, and from the looks of him, a gentle breeze would knock him off his crutch and the one remaining leg. They must have taken his ghost too, sad to see the deterioration of a body that has been stripped of its light. Commander, you're alive, Anna explains. He doesn't lower his rifle. It's me, Anna. We have a plan to take down Savathun, but we need to speak to Hokora Ray. Is she here? He grimaces. She is, he says, and points his rifle toward the flotsam of the tower, buried deep under that. They stare at him in disbelief. He's clinical, emotionless. Hokora's gone? Along with everything else, whatever you've come to find here, it's not here. Best you go. He turns and starts to hobble away on his crutch. Anna throws her hands up in frustration. She shakes her head but follows with Rasputin to her side. Commander, this all goes back to Savathun. If we can eliminate her for good, maybe there's hope. He stops. There isn't. You can't just walk away. Hokora wouldn't. Zavala turns to Anna. You're just like her. Always were. Stubborn and self-righteous. That's how she ended up here. Keep going, and you'll meet a similar fate. I'm sure Savathun would happily abide. She keeps trying to convince him, and then finally Elsie speaks up, and Zavala says, so you're the fabled Elizabeth Bray, I take it. I am. We could have used you sooner. Like when the pyramids arrived, Anna chimes in. Our troubles began long before they showed up, Zavala says. They were just the leaves of a tree planted long ago. The Vanguard ran some cloak and dagger missions a while back in the Black Garden. We tried to suppress the Black Heart. It ended up corrupting the Guardians who came into contact with it. From there out, Dark Guardians spawned, and darkness slowly spread. I'm here now, that's all that matters. Who's the other Exo? Zavala asks. Rasputin announces himself. You have the War Mind. Rasputin is a weapon, but we need to know where to point him, Anna replies. Which is why we could use whatever information you have to find Savathun. We thought that if we could ally with the darkness and the light, we might stand a chance, find symmetry where staunchness failed. That old song, he muses. Even if I could help, the Warmind won't be enough. Not for what lies beyond Savathun. She is only a pawn. Meaning what? You want the real witch. You want Eris Morn. Now they follow him back to his new home inside the wreckage of the Almighty, and he reminisces with the Warmind about what happened. He calls it their final victory, as in the last thing that they actually succeeded in doing. So we kind of have a timeline of when things started to split off from our current timeline through theirs. Now Anna says, I can't imagine Eris, and she says Eris wasn't special. She was corrupted as easily as the rest. She came to me after finding an artifact inside the pyramid on the moon and deceived us all. The bombardment was her masterstroke, proving that the darkness destroys all it touches. What happened that day? We were outnumbered. When the Witch Queen found me, she called me the non-believer as she tore my leg from its joint and pulled the light from my ghost, discarding me like trash. Ikora had it worse. I looked up to the traveler, hoping it would be our salvation from this atrocity. But instead, it just left. Abandoned us when we needed it most. I wanted to reach out and grab it. Make it stay, make it save us as we thought it would. But that was it. Gone. Cabal forces crumbled the rest. Rasputin interrupts and they say, looks like we might get your chance to capture the Traveler after all. I propose with vigor, we bring it back here, make it fight, and restore the light. They've found Gaul's plans to ensnare the Traveler, and they're planning to do the same back to it. Rasputin can track it. Clovis installed the capability as a failsafe in case it ever tried to run off. And they're trying to figure out another thing, and he says, I know of someone in command of an army who can help us build this weapon. And she has a bone to pick with Eris. We need to find Marasov. So they're heading back to the latest correspondence with Marasov. And Anna comes back to Elsie and says, I need you to show me how to use stasis, Elsie. You're proof that it's not inherently evil. It can be controlled. You show me how, and people will see it's possible. I'm not a figurehead for some movement, Anna. Stasis isn't something you simply control. There's a constant temptation. I struggle still to this day. Using it takes time, discipline, and even I still haven't mastered it. Not sure I ever will. They're going back and forth a little bit, and Zavala rounds the corner and Anna leaves, and he asks, you're using stasis? I get to hear it from you too now, huh? Okay. When there was a Vanguard, I thought I had all the answers. Perhaps that was our undoing. I know now that commanding has as much to do with giving orders as it does listening to others' needs. Don't be like I was, angry and trying to control everything. Listen to your sister. Consider why she's asking this of you. I've hoped I'd never see this again as long as I live, as they come face to face with the Leviathan. They board the Leviathan and they hear a voice. Queen Marasov says, Commander Zavala, it's good to see you, or what remains of you. And keep having conversation. We're in need of allies we can find, and you bring the Brace sisters, I see. I bow. It's good to see you again, my queen. I learned in my time with her before everything collapsed that the queen is particular about her customs. Mara smiles back at me and says, and you, my friend. Now she's surrounded by Cabal and Fallen working alongside what's left of the Awoken army. I'd heard some defected to Eris after Mara's failed assaults. Everyone has lost so much to the Dark armies. Now, Anna and them begin to have a conversation, but Mara and Zavala leave, and they're constructing the harness as they speak. They are making the harness within the Leviathan, and they are piloting the Leviathan to where the Traveler is, so that they can take it. Now Zavala collapses on the floor, and all of a sudden he starts speaking to something. He says, "We need you to return to us." And so they assume that he's speaking to the Traveler. You chose us before. Please give us another chance. It intends to run, Zavala says, standing and regaining his composure. And Zavala releases a deep, focused breath. We need to take it back by force. Launch the harness, Marasov commands as her crew gets to work. It fires at the Traveler, becomes aware, burning with a rich, luminous glow, too bright to keep staring. The Leviathan shakes. The light fades and my eyes adjust. Sure enough, the harness has latched onto the sphere like a barnacle, the 6 arms gripped tight. The Leviathan erupts in applause. She looks for Anna, but can't find her. And Zavala says, we're coming home, Ikora. Now, they finally head down, and Zavala confronts Elsie about Anna. She says, I've known Anna a long time, but something isn't right. He's very curious about Anna and her repeated attempts at learning stasis from Elsie. She just keeps on trying over and over again. Now they make their way to Eris, and they find her on the moon. They hit the drop ships. Let's see here. They hit the drop ships. Red is still on board. Rasputin's still on board piloting the Leviathan. The rest of the army is hitting the ground, and Zavala is still up top with the Traveler. Now, they see Eris Morn drawing power from beneath the surface, and they see an army of dark guardians stampeding toward them through the Scarlet Keep. She looks up at the Leviathan and the Traveler aglow in a phosphorescent haze. He's doing it. Zavala is overcharging himself with light, siphoning from the Traveler using Gaul's plans and tech. Good luck, Commander, and thank you. Now finally, a singular beam of light, blinding light, tears through the black sky with the velocity of a shooting star headed straight at the Scarlet Keep. Give him hell, Commander. He collides with the structure so precisely that it only creates a small fissure. After a moment, an explosion bright and disastrous completely levels the keep to rubble. We hear a deafening scream throughout the field, and could only be Savathun. Mara races towards us. The witch is weakened. We strike now. Eris is regaining her footing as we close in. All of my detractors are in one place. Thank you for bringing them to me. Anna. I turn to Anna, confused, and she pulls out a knife and readies it towards Mara. I make a move to stop her, but I can't. I'm frozen in place. By Anna. She stabs Marasov in front of us. You're welcome, my queen. Stasis and blood drip from her hands. We are all dark eventually, Eris says with glee. What have you done? I scream as Marasov's body drifts lifelessly to the ground. Elsie, listen to me. This was necessary. The darkness cannot thrive while believers of the light remain. There's a world beyond this conflict. Let's go there together. This is not the way, she cries and readies her stasis. Elsie, please don't do this. You can still join us. Don't you want to be a family again? Not like this. Not through death and betrayals. Zavala was right about her. I remember the promise I made. I forgive you for all the years you kept me in the dark. I know you were trying to protect me. Forget the past. We can start over. Let me protect you now, she says with such sincerity that I know she's too far gone to reason with. The look on Anna's face tells me she knows where I've landed. She's genuinely hurt, gritting her teeth to stop herself from crying. I try to raise my hand to blast her, but she's already on the move. Anna attacks and stabs me in the side, disconnecting core components. My left arm goes limp. I look to see Eris summoning a portal. The Vex come flooding through. Our army of Cabal and Fallen are being eviscerated. Vex Hydras swarmed the Leviathan and opened fire. If I could cry, I would. We lost again. Suddenly Eris stands above me with a twisted grin. Do you see what the path of the self-righteous yields? You call it protection, but all Anna felt was abandonment. You left a void. Darkness filled it. You have bigger problems, I say, looking to the sky. A piercing noise emanates from the traveler. Its brilliance begins to swell. Worried and confused, Eris commands all her focus to killing it with dark energy. It didn't have to be this way, Anna cries as she drives the knife into me once more. You could have been with me. I finally shatter my own binding, blasting her with stasis. She flies back, locked in the air. I see her struggling. Anna, she's corrupted you. No, she gave me purpose. I know what I have to do. I kiss her forehead as I turn her blade and thrust it into her. Her eyes go wide, and some semblance of my sister returns before she fades. Elsie. She trails off into the void, my own sister. Eris will pay for this. The darkness energy Eris manipulates canvases the landscape and makes its way to the sky. I see the traveler getting brighter as the darkness encapsulates it. I race toward Eris, but I am too late. In an enchanting explosion, the traveler's light enshrouds all in totality. Then darkness. I'm awake. I see the tower. The tower. I'm in the last city. It's thriving, bustling with life. Children laughing. There's a small parade. I fight through the crowd to find Cade 6 in the center of it. I think I finally got him this time, he shouts as a beardless Zavala greets him. Tanix has been dead before, Zavala says. From behind him emerges a Cora Ray like a vision. Let the new Hunter Vanguard bask. He's earned it. I'm so sick of this scene, of hearing these words ever since the day I killed my sister. That was the first time. Now I've lost count. No matter what I do, I always ends the same, blood and betrayal. Then I'm back where I started, right here. I'm being taunted, punished, forced to relive this loop. There has to be a way out. I will find it. I have to save my sister. Now, there's a lot there. I mean, that's the first future that she sees and gets sent back. And we know how far she gets sent back. She gets sent back all the way to when Cade first becomes the Vanguard, or the Hunter Vanguard.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got to live through a lot every time, man. So we know that in this one, Eris is the big bad, apparently. Right. Apparently so much so that even Zavala's like, no, Savathun's just a pawn. Eris is the big bad. So, I don't know. Maybe she was being taken control by the darkness and she was like an emissary of the darkness. So much so that even a hive god was nothing compared to her. There's a lot there. Yeah. It's scary.
It really does. And looking at the Vidoc laws that they've been showing and all the characters that's going to be involved in Witch Queen, this sets up for this. And you know, what if this is how they end Destiny 2? And it's like at the end, it just resets with Elsie waking up and you're back at the old tower. Like everything.
Man, that means we got to kill Crota again.
No,
We got to kill.
everything you did was for nothing.
That would be wild.
I mean, that's a great way to reset the game going into the Destiny 3 or whatever. But
yeah, because then they could make it a whole different timeline where different stuff is happening because your Guardian does different stuff and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that'd be wild. That'd be crazy. Oh, man. You would already, like, yeah, our Guardian would know where the Deepstone Crypt is. We could hit it early. Like, we could do all kinds of stuff.
I think, no, our Guardian would be dead.
Oh, okay. So you're saying we would go into Elsie's, like, point of view, and then we would be a new Guardian again. We would res all over again. Okay.
Wow.
That'd be nuts.
Yeah, but yeah. All right. I believe it's time for the mailbag.
Yep. Let's see. Question number 1. Does seeing Void 3.0 make you rethink your day 1 raid lineup? Seeing it, not really. Our lineup is typically a 1-2-3 if we can. 2-2-2 is great, but even with this, hunters still aren't super great for endgame content. Jared usually turns into a warlock or a titan depending on what's happening. He's usually fairly flexible like that. And I mean, seeing the debuff mechanics that they get, the hunters have a little bit more of that weakening mechanic is good, but I don't think it's good enough to make a big difference. I think seeing our squad as it is, I think it's still going to be a 1-2-3 or a 3-3 setup. Because I still think that with the way things are, hunters aren't going to be amazing compared to, they're not going to be so much different that they're going to be super necessary for the raid. I think similar to what's going on now. I think they're going to be better than what they are now, but I still think it's not a good enough bump. You know what I mean? I wish it was better, but I still think we're gonna be the same.
I think the only way I see hunters really being viable is somehow Tether stacks a debuff with divinity, and they took that away. They've let things stack with divinity at weird times. They try to fix one thing and something ends up stacking with it. Like right now, particle does stack with it, but like 4 weeks ago it didn't. And every time they do some mini update, little things will change. So we don't know how this will interact going into it. And then if somehow hunters are able to stack with divinity and they're not intended to, they'll just deactivate hunters for day 1. So
I don't think they can deactivate a whole subclass though. They can just deactivate every hunter.
hey, they didn't let them be DPS monsters for day 1 VOG with scales of Star Eaters. They deactivated that. So like,
yeah, but deactivating an exotic's a lot different than not letting any hunters in.
I mean, that hunter void would be deactivated.
Okay. That's something that's somewhat likely. One of the void subclasses or a fragment or an aspect could deactivate it.
Yep.
So I don't know. The way I see it, you need probably 1 hunter because there's always one that refuses to be anything other than a hunter. And then you need 5 between warlocks and titans. And I'm not sure if it's 3, which way is 3-2, if it's 3 titans and 2 warlocks or 3 warlocks and 2 titans, but I imagine that's probably going to be the best of it, if I had to guess. Question 2. What do you expect we will get in the final TWAB of the season?
I think they confirmed some kind of Gambit update we're supposed to get, but they haven't touched on like abilities or like exotic changes. Usually we always get 1 or 2 of those going into a new season, so That's what I'm expecting to get 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah, I definitely see some current exotic and or ability changes, something like that, whether it's weapons or armor or a combination of the two. And yeah, like Jared said, they did say they were gonna tease some stuff on Gambit. Um, so I definitely want to know more about that. But I don't think I expect much else. I think they're gonna like they said before they're gonna save their real trailer until the day of, right before everything gets started up and the button gets turned on. But I think it's gonna be fairly light. They're gonna just talk about what they're gonna be patching in. It's gonna be a patch notes light with some other stuff, I think.
So I did have somebody named Liz slide into the DMs the other day with 2 predictions, and I'm just going to give her 2 predictions. These are not my predictions; they are hers. The first is that there's going to be like a freelance Gambit playlist, and the other is that they're going to add 4 new battlegrounds as opposed to strikes. So I'm going to say that we're going to get those 2 things in the final TWAB. We'll get those updates from there. So they're kind of long shots, but I'm just curious if I got somebody leaking stuff to me that knows something more than I know. So we'll see how it goes. So we'll put it out into the ether and go from there. Number 3, how do you think this season will end? I've seen, so we know that the bridge is getting built in the astral alignment activity in the Dreaming City, and it is completed. So my thought would be that either this weekend, which is like a 5% chance, but most likely at next weekly reset, we'll have like an exorcism mission that's going to move the story forward. So that would be my guess. And it's going to be in that astral alignment / Dreaming City area.
Yep, 3 months too late to do that thing, but here we are.
Yep.
Yeah, the last week I thought it was gonna be this reset, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Fox. I personally think that we will find Osiris's body. That we'll get a cutscene where Saint and Mithrax find his body. He's dead.
Oh man, that'll be a sad day. I always liked old OC. He was always one of my favorite characters, all the way back from Destiny 1.
I'm gonna have to take Saint out for a beer or two just to help him grieve a little bit.
Yeah, man, he's gonna be that's his guy. You know what I mean? So so we'll have to pour one out for him next week, maybe.
Question 4 is weapon crafting the unofficial sunset of old weapons. It kind of makes sense. I think these weapon crafting is going to make the weapons to be 5 to 10% better than what they are now with the traits.
I'd say at least that. I think the part that makes it the most interesting is that you'll essentially be able to unlock any combination of perks for any weapon. You think about not only like the manufacturer traits, but like if the cool part's gonna be like, so right now, if you have like think about 140 hand cannons. So if you have like a baller palindrome and like a sweet Fatebringer, like, do you really need to chase an IS Luna? That's another 140, right? There's not really a point to it. I mean, it can get a little different, like, because you can argue that it's like a the kinetic slot / stasis slot, but like for the most part, they're very much similar. But now, like, where you get the weapons are gonna matter because if you get like trials weapons, they're gonna have that trials trait to where if you're the last living fire team member, then you get like all these perks to these certain stats. And you'll also have the crucible on there because you can change back and forth between them. But those will also be good in like solo lost sectors because you're the only person left on the fire team in those. So that stuff is well worth it to me, giving up like the 2 orbs, like the orbs for the masterwork kills or whatever. So I think that the variety that you're going to get and that's going to allow to build crafting and like more weapons being viable than just 2 or 3, depending upon, and it's going to be like very dependent upon what activities you're doing, which is the stuff that we like overall, then I think it's going to be cool.
All right, the last question here. I know spur of the moment, but assuming that Bungie makes a live action series / film, what actor or actress would you choose for a character? 1 per co-host. Huh. What? Choose.
I'll go. I kind of have one
Okay.
since I saw the question, so I'll give you guys a little bit of time to try to think through. So, for whatever reason, you know our girl Hawthorne that's there in the tower. That's like the clan person or whatever.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence, old J Law. I don't know why those 2 people matched up for me, but in my head,
Yeah.
that was the match that I saw. So I don't know if it's like a Hunger Games thing, you know, like she's, you know, Hawthorne's not really a guardian or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So like kind of like a Hunger Games type of thing. So in my mind, for whatever reason, those 2 came together.
I'm trying to figure out a way to get Sam Elliott into the Destiny world, and I think he's a little bit too serious, but I think Banshee 44 as Sam Elliott would be pretty cool with him working on weapons. I don't know how we would work into how he forgets what he's doing, but I think he could pull it off.
Didn't Peter Dinklage make Thor's weapon? And was that Endgame or one of them? Maybe we could bring him back to be Banshee to be our weapon crafter.
Yeah.
So I'd be down for that.
And I think was the Loki Tom Hiddleston?
Yeah. Yep.
I think I could.
Was Taylor Swift sax, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think thanks for that. That's relevant information for me right now. Thank you.
Hey, listen, Taylor Swift is the songbird of our generation, so don't.
Hey, I love T Swift. All right,
T Swift is for your T Swift
the
slander.
Best. I'm not slandering T Swift at all. I'm just saying that this is not relevant to this current conversation. Anyway, Hiddleston, I could do as Aldrin.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's pretty good, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Chad won that one.
Yeah.
I think. All right. Anything else you guys wanted to add? Any honorable mentions or anything that you were thinking about? My honorable mention was our girl Margot Robbie or whatever her name is as Mara Sov. You know,
Ooh.
that was kind of the. That would be
good.
yeah. So those were the 2 that I had. So did you guys have any other honorable mentions or anything?
Could Denzel Washington be Zavala?
No, I don't think so. I was trying to think of Zavala myself, and
yeah.
The problem is that actor. He acts too.
Yeah.
He could be just Zavala. Like,
yeah.
Just make him blue and you're good.
Lance Reddick or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's so good.
Yeah. Man, I'll never forget. I'll never forget my wife went through this thing where she would just like turn on Law and Order, like SVU.
Mm-hmm.
And then like in season 1 or maybe like the first 2 seasons, he's like the coroner or something. And I was just like sitting here because, you know, I'm sure I've told this story, but we have 2 televisions, like my television and her television. And I heard somebody talking and I was like, is that Zavala? And I looked up and Lance Reddick was on Law and Order. Like, And Tiffany just looked at me and shook her head like, I'm so ashamed that I am married to you. And you recognize this actor as Zabala's voice without seeing him. So, but yeah, so that would be cool. Like, just give Lance Reddick, like, give him like a paint job or something. So, and then what was that? Nathan Fillion was he was Cade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully he stays dead. Oh. But anyways, make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Click the bell, do all that other stuff. I'm gonna let these two guys sign off here.
I just noticed as I'm looking through Spotify of my podcast, you can rate stuff on Spotify now. This is the first time I've seen it. So make sure you go and rate us on Spotify, iTunes.
5-star. 5-star.
Yep. You know what we are. We're blue chippers.
That's right. That's right. Give us 5 stars. If you can write a review, we'll read it on here. Preferably roast us in the review. That way it'll be funny.
And I shortened The Dark Future quite a bit. It's 20 pages of lore, but there's lots of good conversation in there that I skipped or shortened down. It's definitely worth a good read, especially with what's coming up, and it is fairly relevant with what's happening. It's a good read. It's definitely a good one to go through.